There's a lot of conversation. Yesterday, the NDC's National Executive Committee held an emergency meeting. They discussed a number of things. Security across the country. They discussed the letter from the Judicial Service threatening the media. They also looked at how the party should react towards the election petition case and its ruling on Thursday. They are asking members to remain calm. And of course, they also spoke to issues about what they perceive as deliberate arrest of people in a way that they will threaten them or cow them from speaking their minds openly. We also know that 3 nominees, 3 appointees of Nana Akufo-Addo who went through the vetting process are also facing some challenges, because what we have picked is that the minority on the appointments committee has rejected them. One of them is Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, Information Minister Designate. Another is Mavis Hawa-Kumsin, who is going to the fisheries sector, and Dr. Akoto Afriye, who is also going to the agri sector. We are hearing other names. How are these conversations going to inform your breakfast this morning? We will tell you more about that. We'll be taking a break, go for the weather update and some adverts to acknowledge our sponsors, X Natural Mineral Water. When we come back, I'll tell you more as the papers have reported on their front pages.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome back. This is the morning update on TV XYZ. I know many of you are looking for the face you wish to see every morning. She has joined me. Good morning, madam.
Good morning. I think you're exaggerating.
I like your dress.
I like what you're wearing.
Don't worry.
Can we end it right then? Thank you so much for liking my dress.
No, I like your dress. I'm serious.
I like it too. Thank you.
How's everything?
Not bad. How are you doing?
I started without you.
I know.
Yes, and somebody dropped a message that, look, why you alone want the program?
They are used to the both of us, I think. It's not just me. But this morning, when on our way coming, we saw that a thief they had caught a thief in one of the East Legon neighborhoods, and they had beaten him up mercilessly, and he was bleeding in his head, and I felt really sad about that. It's
pathetic. And yesterday, I also chanced on a very sad story, just around the La Palm Hotel and the first military base. That's on the Teshi Road. A car had knocked somebody and had crashed the brain.
Oh my God!
There was so much traffic, and for me it was unusual. I was becoming impatient.
Oh my goodness.
At a point when I also got the chance to get closer, I noticed the sad story. And a few people were there trying to, they were confused. They don't know who that person was. They didn't have details about their fellow. They didn't know whether to call the ambulance or to call the police.
Jesus Christ.
And the person has lost their life. Please, those of us who drive at night, this is what I can share with you because I've had that experience before. Watch your headlamps. Either they are old and so you should replace them, or you have a problem with your lighting system because a lot of people drive at night. And you know, these dual carriageways are such that some people don't understand the use of the headlamps, whether it should be high or low. So they just hit the road. Because they have poor eyesight, they just throw it, especially these modern cars. But they blind the other drivers on the other side of the road. And people may even drive over the shoulders of the road. It's very dangerous. And sometimes if people have such poor sight and they cannot see clearly because their own headlamps are not giving them the clear sight, they don't realize somebody who is not in a reflective cloth is perhaps on the road or crossing, or somebody's jaywalking or maybe mad and so on. And all has to do with your own safety and what we call defensive driving. So especially if the police can do this in the night, check headlamps because they are causing a lot of accidents on our highways and so on and so forth.
It's very difficult to drive like that. Someone just throws the light on you and you have to, if you are not quick about it, you just crash
especially
into something.
When some of our roads have a lot of potholes.
Exactly.
National Road Safety Commission, this is your call, not to give us statistics. Now, what papers do you have?
Well, so I have the Daily Graphic, I have the Business Analyst, and also I have Daybreak, which I haven't seen in a while, and the Hawk as well. But before we do that, quickly, there was something disturbing that I found in the news yesterday. So apparently there has been a sex tape from Efua Schwarzenegger's son, one of her sons, and she comes out to say that the sex is a gift. They will not marry you. Efua reacts to son's viral bedroom photo, and she's not even saying anything as a mother to chastise what has happened. She's basically just influencing the child to go on, and she goes ahead to say that she doesn't even want any Ghanaian as an in-law, and so she wants her sons to marry people from outside the country.
It's up to her. Society has formed its own impression about some of us. What we have done in the past, what has been leaked to social media in the past, who they are today and what they do today, society have formed their own opinion. It's not for me to say. All I can do is to encourage my children to follow people I personally will see as a mentor. So I will leave it at that. I can only hope.
But you see, that's the problem. You bring children up and
then help the child.
You bring children up and you hope they will become, let's say, blue. But there are certain influences in society, and so it's like now you have to adjust yourself to understand that your children might not grow up to be the blue you want them to be, but rather a red.
I always agree that in grooming every child, psychologists, if you talk to teachers, they will tell you that there are 3 kinds of environment: the home, the school, and the community in which the child lives. So if you're a parent and you acknowledge that all these types of environment I've mentioned have in one way or the other some level of influence on your child, it is up to you, the parent, to ask yourself, do I want the community in which my child lives to influence how my child grows up, or the school to influence the child, or me as a parent? A lot of parents today don't have time to stay home. They go home late. They don't really understand their kids. It's a challenge.
Yes.
But many of these parents have made sure that they have put their kids in the hands of the teachers and perhaps give them some support here and there, but spend more time with the kids during the weekend. And they know what they want in life. If you have a child and you want the child to mentor you because of your own behavior, you will get some of these things that you are raising this morning. I don't want to say much than to leave it for the public to judge.
But it's sad. It's really sad. Anyways, so moving on, I'm starting with the Daily Graphic, and on the front page it says here, the president takes first shot. Yesterday I saw him taking it, and there are people around calling him Rambo because he took it like a man. It was just...
But what also came up was whether what our health officials are doing is appropriate or otherwise. And so I've seen pictures of Joe Biden receiving his jab, and you see the nurses in gloves, and people are comparing it to the others.
Yes,
and
she didn't have the glove on yesterday.
What we all want to hear is,
she didn't even
avail
use the
yourself.
sanitizer.
I don't know, but
when she was moving to the next
so people
person.
are closely observing, and this is coming after when we saw pictures circulating as we saw the president and some clergymen without nose mask in a group photograph. I believe that what we communicate as leaders through our actions or inactions have a bigger role to play on the psyche of people. So the nurses, and I think
they have to do a lot more, because I don't know if it's even okay to say this on air, but a lot of people doubt that he's actually taking the vaccine.
Look, he has taken it. If he thinks that he has taken it, there are some skeptics who want to find fault with everything. The president has taken the jab. I believe that the vice president has taken it.
He's taken
the clergymen have taken
his
it.
Wife has.
This morning, I know that the former president, John Dramani Mahama, will also be taking his. We have also made it public that groups will be taking this at various stages as prescribed by the Ghana Health Service. Let's go for it. At this stage, let's not encourage those who want to scare the public.
Sure. But also yesterday, somebody asked an interesting question. She asked how they would know when to go for theirs, when is their turn. And I remember we said in one of the newspaper headlines that they would introduce an app where they would put updates on there. And I think even in the media, they'll be putting some stories out there. So please follow the media.
Yeah, it's a very important information you have shared there. But those of anybody watching TVXYZ or Ways or TV this moment, just watch what is scrolling on your screen. You will see that those who belong to Group 1 are clearly identified, and they are the people who will be taking their shots within this week. That's for the 600,000 doses which have come in. It's on the screen. Yeah. They will see it. But what are the papers reporting?
Well, also, still on COVID, it says that 357 centers are designated in the Greater Accra region to administer the vaccine. Now, yesterday we did a story on the judicial service, which we discussed a lot about, and Eric shared a lot of his opinion about it. Now, he's saying that GJA condemns judicial service threat.
Let me deal with the Ghanaian Times, the Business and Financial Times, and the Chronicle. Then I'll come back to you. 3 in 1. The first one on the front page of the Chronicle, the Ghanaian Times newspaper, has to do with the COVID-19 vaccines. And it says, President takes first COVID-19 jab. VIP, First Lady, others follow. Judiciary service threat against media illogical, scandalous. That's what the GJA is saying. And then Ghana Immigration Service arrests 151 foreigners for illegal entry into the country. So that's how it's captured on the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. I think it's not very clear, but if you can manage to see it. The back page says, Ghana exact revenge beat Gambia for AFCON Under-20 final. Damn stuck in reading this obnoxious directive, pregnant with insidious threats to media freedom in Ghana, which is touted to be the land of freedom and justice. With all due respect, this is scandalous, Mr. Afelmoni, the GJA president, told the Judicial Service. And then one of the other commentary that came along with the press conference was that if you succumb or you suppress the people, eventually when they are fed up, they blow up, and that is even more dangerous. Business and Financial Times. Government has solid plans to prepare local firms for after-market. Trade Minister designate. And unilateral border closures dampen investor confidence after saying enlisted banks request more time to file audited financial reports. Business and Financial Times front page publications. The back page has an interesting story, and it is related to International Mother Language Day. It says, it will be disastrous to lose our mother tongues. And you know, last week or so, I think 2 weeks ago, we made this big story.
Yes.
What I can report is that the Ghana Traditional Councils have been able to make some inroads. They've spoken to officials of the GES, and they have assured them that those anomalies will be sorted out. That's
good. That is good, because on the front page of the Business Analyst, it says here that Ghana begins after trading. Now, one of the stories that actually bothers me is the fact that banks are rejecting voters and national identification card for transaction. And I think I would read a bit of that story. It says that a survey conducted by a media house in Accra, which is not a business analyst, indicates some banks are rejecting the new voters ID card and identification cards because it does not meet their KYC, that is, know your customer requirements, because both the voters and national identification cards have not been validated.
This is
a serious
very serious issue. We've spent millions of dollars to print new voter ID cards, to print new national ID cards. I have personally gone to a bank before to open an account, and then after going through the process, they asked me to produce an ID card. I put all three there: the old ID card, the new ID card, that's voter's ID card, and then the national ID card. And then after pulling them from my wallet, I dropped the national ID card. And they tell me that it would mean that I would have to pay a certain amount, and it would take them some days to go and validate it somewhere before they can continue the processing of my account. So I fronted the second one, which is the new voter's ID card. They told me, as for that one, I should forget it. But they accepted the old national ID card. We all know the controversy around before the election, which appears to be what the institutions of states are accepting. So the question is, what has happened to all the processes, the so-called integration to make sure DVLA, the birth and death registry, and SNAIT, what has happened? People are being paid, and they will continue to be paid. And national resources perhaps gone waste.
People are being paid and they will continue to be paid. If I don't appreciate my sponsors, I will not get paid. So I would have to. While
you are doing that, don't forget I have two papers to quickly run through.
Then quickly run through.
Chronicle on its front page says, Jammeh butchered 38 Ghanaians. The Gambia's Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission releases names of victims. So front page of the Chronicle newspaper. The Daily Dispatch. Parliament approves 22 ministers, 8 on hold. I wanted to share the pictures of 3 we know already, but we don't have time. Yes, I'm told we don't have time. But if my producers can consider me, I think the 3 names that are trending are Kojo Ponkroma, who is the Minister Designate for Information.
Yes.
That picture you see there is the jab, and the reference I made to somebody in gloves. That's Mavis Hawa Kumsin, Minister Designate for Fisheries. And the last one is Dr. Akoto Afriye, who is going to the Agric Ministry. The 3 of them, we are told, have been put on hold for now. Daily Dispatch talks about, you had a point, but threats to media unnecessary, Ben Efson says. We don't have much time.
Yes, we don't. And so we would appreciate X Natural Mineral Water, Simply Natural. And of course, we would appreciate Health Alert Clinic. Let's go Herbal.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many Accra.
Sure. Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. Auto checks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
AutoChecks.
Please, I need you alive to be watching the show every day so I can also keep you informed. So try as much as possible to reduce the stress, because there's even something called stress-induced ulcer, which is one of the most painful things you can go through. So I beg you, stay alive. Now we've gotten to the part where Wisdom Hedejama gives us details of some of the headlines that we have discussed. And my goodness, today he's on a new level. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, madam. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. When am I getting my salary? Because you look all bossed up.
When I grow, I'll give everything to you.
What do you have for us this morning, Wisdom?
Well, so this morning, mass vaccination against COVID-19 is beginning. The GJA has drawn a battle line between itself and the Judicial Service. I'll be telling you details about what Afil Money has been saying. Peace Council has been urged to purge itself. And then the National Lottery boss is on the chopping board this morning. I'll be telling you details about that.
Take us away, Wisdom.
Many thanks for your company this morning. We begin the stories. And the National House of Chiefs has joined the campaign encouraging the public to show interest in the nationwide COVID-19 vaccination exercise. The mass exercise targeting frontline health and security personnel will also involve high-ranking government appointees and public officials.
The exercise is currently taking place at 4 epicenters: Accra, Ewutu Senya area, Kumasi and Obuasi. Ghana Health Service has categorized those targeted in groups to receive the jab. The first categorized as persons most at risk and frontline state officials include healthcare workers, frontline security personnel, persons with underlying medical conditions, persons 60 years and above, and frontline members of the executive, legislature, and judiciary. Yesterday, Nana Akufo-Addo and his vice, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, and their spouses, Rebecca and Samira, were the first to receive the vaccines. The publicized event is intended to allay fears and to encourage the masses to avail themselves for the nationwide exercise. Key among public officials to be among the first batch are the Speaker of Parliament, MPs, the Chief Justice and Justices of the Superior Court, Council of State members, senior government officials, eminent clergymen, the National Chief Imam, the Asantehene, the Gamanche, and some media practitioners. TVXYZ News has learned government expects to take delivery of more AstraZeneca vaccines in 2 weeks to expand coverage. According to the vaccination plan, Group 2 shall cover other essential service providers and rest of security agencies, namely water and electricity supply services, teachers and students, supply and distribution of fuels, farmers and food value chain, telecommunication services, air traffic and civil aviation control services, meteorological services, air transport services and waste management services. No timelines have been set, but others including journalists, public and private commercial transport services, the police, armed forces, prisons and other security agencies, all persons over 18 years, except the pregnant women, will follow. Special arrangements will be made for persons with disabilities who fall within these groups.
Meanwhile, the Bureau of Public Safety is proposing a robust system to track and evaluate all recipients of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. It believes the inclusion of civil society will ensure transparency. TVXYZ News is closely monitoring development and will keep you informed. Now, the National Peace Council has been advised, the National Peace Council's advice to leadership of the two major political parties, the NPP and NDC, to take proactive steps to sustain the peace after the March 4 Supreme Court ruling on the ongoing election petition case has provoked angry reactions. Ambassador Victor Smith says while the call may sound laudable, the Council's own omissions is seriously denting its credibility and calls for time for the Commission to purge itself.
The National Peace Council's intervention is a proactive measure to remind or hold the leadership of political parties to account should they fail to bring their supporters to order after the Supreme Court verdict on the election petition case. Ambassador Victor Smith agrees the statement is timely but questions how the Council has suddenly found its voice.
Is the need to act timelessly if you mean well. You know, you remember they came to the former president's office and the mob nearly lynched them. You know, some of us were there who tried to prevent the people from, they were angry that you always come in, you know, when everything's already done, the harm has been done, then you step in. This was the day before the declaration. We knew what they were trying to do. And instead of you all the way to that stage, you should have been stepping in and trying to calm tempers, all in the interest of our nation's peace.
Citing the peace accord signed by the Council advising Nana Akufo-Addo, John Dramani Mahama, and leading members of their parties to refrain from any activity that may directly or indirectly encourage their followers to disturb the peace. But Mr. Smith, who is a leading member of the NDC, tells TVXYZ News the Council's own lapses will hound members who have been picky. He wondered if it is not too late because their credibility has been dented by now.
So this critical stage, they are beginning to fear that there might be a backlash. And that means they have a feeling like every ordinary person is thinking that it's going to go this way anyway. It's going to be 7-0 or 9-0 as people have been, you know, making fun of. But why should that be the case? So what's your use, really, Peace Council? What's your use?
Now, if the Judicial Service or its assigns thought they could cow the Ghanaian media, then they may have to revise their note. The Ghana Journalists Association says it will be over their dead body. In a strongly worded statement, GJ President Roland Afemoni yesterday warned of dire consequences for the state if attempt to resuscitate the culture of silence prevails.
Public anger towards the Judicial Service stems from the threat in paragraph 16 of the letter warning of dire consequences should the media fail to delete with immediate effect all hateful, spiteful, vengeful, incendiary comment against Supreme Court justices. Critics describe it as an affront to democracy, good governance, and a ploy to insulate institutions from public scrutiny, even if their flaws are glaring. The Ghana Journalists Association has served notice. Members will go all out to stop any person, group, or apparatchiks from pursuing that agenda. GJA President Afel Moni, at a news conference on Monday, described the directives as shocking, obnoxious, pregnant with insidious threats, scandalous, and must be withdrawn. He noted with concern calls flooding his office from local and international journalists, media watchers, defenders of press freedom and free expression, seeking to understand why Ghana is fast departing from what until recently it was hailed for.
With all due respect, this is scandalous. Unsurprisingly, our telephones have been flooded with calls, both local and international, from journalists, media watch organizations, defenders of press freedom and free expression, seeking to know what exactly has been happening since that contentious statement by the Judicial Service was issued.
The GJA said criticism is key to good governance, and the Judicial Service threat clearly marks the censorship, intimidation, or resuscitation of the culture of silence, which can spell unthinkable social political consequences.
If not reversed immediately, the ill-advised, ill-timed, ill-crafted, ill-issued, ill-served, and ill-consumed statement by the judiciary can provoke a tsunamic backlash, lower the dignity of the court in the eyes of freedom lovers and critical citizens, pollute the media environment, undermine our impressive media rankings globally, and dim the beacon of our democracy.
Now, the news conference addressed by promoters and lovers of media was also addressed by the International Federation of Journalists, which likened its typical editorial governance style, often used to block fair comment and investigative reporting. Kwesi Pratt Jr. on his part says the bench cannot hold media practitioners for ransom for their own mistakes.
The International Federation of Journalists strongly believes government or oppressive regimes often adopt strategies embedded in obnoxious laws or directives to have their way. It noted with concern that references to insightful, hateful, or spiteful comments are often used to undermine or block fair comments and investigative reporting. IFJ President David Agbenu addressed the joint news conference on Monday.
Editorial decisions about what to publish should rest with editors and journalists in line with the principles of self-regulation and the laws of the land. Distinguished colleagues, the IFJ states it stands strongly by the media rights to ask difficult questions and challenge the decisions and processes of the government, opposition, judiciary, and all organs of state of power.
Managing editor of the Insight newspaper was blunt. In his usual style, Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr. said the media cannot be blamed for public opinion on the judicial system today, and those who have created this know that themselves.
There's absolutely nothing in the law which says that when judges have made decisions, those decisions cannot be criticized. There's nothing in the law. Besides, we've got to understand in clear terms that when people sit in judgment over others in the courts, whether it's the Supreme Court, the High Court, Court of Appeal, and so on, they are acting on behalf of the people of this country. They are not acting on their own behalf. And the powers they exercise are powers that belong to all the people of Ghana. And if they exercise our powers, if they act on our behalf, we are entitled to criticize them when, in our view, what they've done does not represent what we expect.
Now, a cross-section of Ghanaians TVXYZ News Engage are backing calls on the judiciary to look inward and open up for criticism to strengthen the institution of governance at large.
With that generation, Omano cannot go forward. This generation, the Omuhuno, Mubeka, Utimasi, and this all can almost Omumauka, and
actually, they are trying to gag the media because if things are going wrong in the country, it is the media that will talk. But now, if you talk, if you don't take time, in the night they'll come and knock at your door and then pick you away. So it's very bad. That's my view.
But there are those who argue that sometimes the media also go overboard. You allow them the small room and then they say things they're not supposed to be saying.
Actually, in some sense, it's true. It's true. But they say freedom of speech. So in certain countries, you can say anything and go scot-free. But here...
Let's turn attention to some other stories. And last week, the managing director of the Ghana Airport Company was on the chopping board as aggrieved workers suspended services, demanding his dismissal. Today, another CEO is hot. The National Lottery boss is under pressure to resign or be sacked for non-payment of ticket wins.
Aggrieved National Lottery staff claim they have become subjects of attack following the non-payment of wins. According to the protesters clad in red, some of their colleagues in the region suffered a brunt mostly through physical attacks and assaults. Their anger towards the managing director, Osei Amiel, is over what they describe as total disregard to their plight and must be exited. Last month, for example, news was rife about growing agitation against the national lotteries for failure to pay ticket wins since April last year, leaving winners in total misery and financial difficulties. The Lotto Marketers Association, which confirmed this, expressed fear the trend of events could move potential clients away from the NLA's 590 games to patronize the banker-to-banker lottery system. But the concern was watered down. General Secretary of the Financial Business and Services Employees Union of the NLA, Benjamin Mingle, who spoke to the media, said their concern will be sustained until the MD is removed or resigns. The partial strike of the NLA staff comes days after a related action by staff of the Ghana Civil Aviation, whose one-day strike virtually grinded Kotoka International Airport to a halt last Friday.
And before we go, the NDC has noticed nothing will stop its agenda to bring EC Chair Jean Mensah to book. The party is also asking supporters to remain calm ahead of the Supreme Court's verdict on Thursday. A communique issued after a crunch neck meeting, among other things, discussed the ongoing vetting of ministerial nominees, arbitrary arrest and clandestine activities of some security agencies assigned to cow citizens and to deter them from speaking their mind. The recent threatening statement by the Judicial Service in an attempt to gag the media and what the NDC described as Akufo-Addo's agenda to terrorize citizens in order to suppress dissent and quell demand for probity and accountability as enshrined in the 1992 Constitution. The statement signed by General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asedu Nketia, said the emergency NEC meeting, among other things, hold the view that the Judicial Service has no right or authority to threaten anyone, much less the media, for performing their constitutionally mandated duties. The communique expressed hope that the Supreme Court will uphold and promote probity, accountability and transparency and give to the effect of the people it expressed on 7th December 2020 in its judgment. And that'll be it for this morning's edition of News in Brief on Morning Update with me, Wisdom Hedejome. As always, do log on to my xyzonline.com for more. Nana Abena Sewa.
Thank you, Wisdom Hedejome.
In those who say Jolati, but this is
bye. So yeah, that was Wisdom Hedejome giving us some of the details of the headlines we discussed in the newspaper. I still want to make some money. I'll be right back, so stay tuned.
If I cry na menyisika, edia ye me fui. Ehin fapa na menya bosia edi atre medwuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre miye bosia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yemamwa kwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hyehyɛ ahodo bi te sɛ gadifo abosia, ekokro abosia, susu account. Eni da so wo savings account. Me bada chain savings account. Ene de keka ho. Suhum Rural Bank was 034229186. Na won so wetumi aka sɛ
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank. Enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome back to the morning update on TV XYZ. My name is Nana Abena Sewa. And this segment, which is the social segment, is proudly brought to you by Health Alert Clinic. Let's Go Herbal. So if you have certain chronic diseases like heart diseases, you have stroke or diabetes, you can just walk into Health Alert Clinic and they will use herbal medicine to treat you. And in some few time, you would realize that you're feeling okay. You can also call them on the numbers that you see on your screen, or you can go to Medina behind the post office, Atlantic Bank, and you'll find them there. They work from Mondays to Saturday, and so you can always walk in and get treated by the experts. Now, there is one sector that has been receiving a lot of attention from policymakers, and that is the creative arts industry. For a while, we were struggling, and a lot of talks were about what government needs to do for the industry, but it looks like the pleas or the cries have been heard by policymakers. And so this time round, a lot of promises were made during the electioneering, during the 2020 electioneering campaign. The two major political parties, which is the NDC and the MPP, made a lot of promises. Now, in the NDC manifesto only, I saw about 21 promises to the creative arts industry. There were some in the MPP manifesto that also caught my attention. I'll quickly run through that. Now, it says here that we will set up a creative arts fund to support artists. They also mentioned that they would complete the theatre they started in Kumasi and will construct new theatres in Takoradi and Tamale. And then it says that given that our artists do not have the capital to set up studios, we will, as part of the entrepreneurial hubs strategy, establish in partnership with the private sector large recording studios in Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, and of course Takoradi. It's also said that recording artists can rent space to do the recordings in these studios. Now, the fourth promise they made was to build a digital platform for artists to make their products available to the global market. And the fifth one said that they would construct one of the biggest convention and exhibition centers in the world at the Ghana Trade Fair company site in La, which I think is a very good project because I know for a fact that Kojo Hilton, one of the well-established set designers in Ghana, have been going on about this. He's been visiting schools to try and revamp the visual arts project, which a lot of times we ignore. And so this, if put in place, will help a lot. Now, also with the digital platform, would help a lot. This morning, I have I'm always excited when I see this man. I have a guest in the studio. He is the head of operations for the creative arts. Also, Socrates Safo was supposed to join us, but he is on his way. Hopefully, he gets here before the segment runs out. But if not, Frankie 5 is also well equipped to take us through all the questions that we have had, we have, and will have. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Sandra.
How are you doing?
I'm all right.
You look money-ish.
Look tired from last night.
I look tired.
Myself.
What did you do last night? I'm interested.
I had to take some of the uncompleted jobs yesterday home and, sleep over them and all that. So all for the creative industry.
Oh, yes. Which is, I think you're doing well, to be honest. I've heard a lot of compliments have come your way. And I'm very sure that you would agree with me that the creative arts is one sector that contributes largely to the GDP of this country. And if proper structures are put in place or will be put in place, then we can even contribute much more. The problem I think we are facing is the fact that we do not have enough statistics to support this claim. And maybe you would think that we are just talking, but for the U.S. alone, the creative arts sector contributes to about $800 billion a year, which is 4.5% of their GDP. And also in Europe, the creative arts industry constitutes to 390 million euros in a year. So this is not just us talking. The creative arts contributes a lot to the growth of the economy. And if only we would put a lot of structures in place, then a lot can happen for a lot of people. I know that you do more of the money side. And we have heard a lot of monies are coming, will be coming, and have come. So can you take us through so far, if there is even a documentation to prove how much the creative arts have received for developmental projects?
Well, thank you for the question. I think that last year we were all hit with COVID.
Yes.
Right? And we saw how COVID has crippled especially the creative industry, because reason is that why we want to always amplify the fact that we are the hardest hit industry is that our creativity depends, the exhibition of our creativity depends on the gathering of people. So when you stop us from gathering and you close conferences and events and workshops and stuff, I mean, our products will not be seen. The only way is to resort to the digital market. And you can see clearly that Ghana is now warming up into the digital market. So definitely our people will be very, very much hit. And so government tasked us to do a survey of all our industry practitioners who have been affected by COVID. And we did and submitted to government. And out of that, we heard in Parliament that government has earmarked 50 million cedis to be dispersed to as a stimulus support. I want to underline.
Right.
It's a stimulus support to ignite our businesses and to keep some lifeline in us until COVID is subdued. So yes, that 50 million, we also got the information that it is not only for us. We're going to share it with the media and private universities. So it was given to NBSSI, of course, to ensure that the disbursement is done.
Right.
Through that, NBSSI called for application, both online. In fact, they initially started with online applications, and quite a number of people applied. Later, we approached them and told that it would be best if they routed it through the council, so that we can be able to monitor who and who access it, so that repayment can be easy. So we had a meeting with them later in the year, and then they resorted to routing the rest through us.
Right.
So those that came through us, yes, we were able to also monitor for them to fill the forms and submit.
Now,
yeah.
How do you intend to disburse these funds? Are you going to, because I know that funds have come before where there were certain conditions to the funds, one of which was with the fact that if you're an actress and a producer, you don't get to access the fund. You have to be a producer. So if you're an actor, stick to being an actor. So what are the conditions this time, and how are you planning to disburse this funds?
Okay. It's belated, because it's already disbursed.
It is.
So, yeah, the disbursement started from last year and closed before the year ended. And those residual ones that were still in progress in the system had to come out within January and February. So I'm sure quite a number of them have received what they are supposed to receive already. Yes, indeed, they specify that the producers will get, because the producers are, let's say, the executive producers are the masters of the game. Whether executive you have for music or for film, or that they were supposed to access. Of course, in this country, we also come to know that some actors have turned into executive producers.
Yes.
So they also...
And they held the industry down. You would agree with me.
All right. So they also had access. So largely, I can say about 60 to 70% of our people have benefited from the said fund that was,
But I can say for a fact that some producers do not even know that the funds is being disbursed, or they don't even know that the funds have even reached us in the first place. So would you say that you haven't been communicating this out there properly?
Well, it will be unfortunate for any producer to say that they don't know the progress.
Because you know that I'm situated in the industry somehow, and I get the opportunity to talk to some of these producers, and I can say on authority that about 2 or 3 producers, well-known producers, have said to me they didn't even know.
They didn't know.
Yes,
they didn't know. Let me answer that quickly for you. Now, the council, as the bill, our bill has been passed last year for Christmas, and the bill provides that every practitioner in this industry must align to a particular domain. If it's film industry, music, painting, artisans, you need to belong to a particular industry.
Right.
If you decide to fall off the net, unfortunately, there are informations you will not get to hear, and that you do not have to blame government for that. We've said this over and over. When we came to power, we initiated that act because one of the key responsibilities of the interim council was to ensure that all the fragmented groups are boxed together into an arm. Do you get it? So, per this same formula, all the domains, every little information from either NBSSI or from the council were actually disseminated through the various domains. You get it? So if you're in the film industry, it went directly through the Musica chain. If you're in the film industry, it went through the 5-pack and GAG and all those chain. If you decide not to belong to any of them, then I'm sorry, you will not get the information. The statistics as to the breakdown and everything, last week, there was a press briefing at NBSS. I happened to also attend the press briefing, and I got the information, the breakdown of the number of people who have benefited, how much was disbursed to them, and how much is left to be done. So all this information is there. It's available on the NBSSI website. It's available on all association platforms. You know, they have some digital platforms that they communicate. WhatsApp and all that. They have every information. So if you've not heard anything, don't blame anybody. Blame the head of that particular domain because they have every information.
But there is a school of thought that believe that you give the institution gives the money to their favorites because some producers are well known. And they expect that even if they are not in these said associations for one reason or another, which we cannot wash our dirty or dry our dirty linens out here, for 1 or 2 reasons, we know that there are certain known producers who do not belong to these associations for one reason or another. And so they would expect that at least you would contact them once the money hits and talk to them because these people, one way or another, make impact with their movies.
Okay. It is a loan. The answer is that it's a loan.
Yeah, but wouldn't you want to give a loan to people who can pay? Because these people have crowd.
Let me answer. It's a loan. You know, loan. You don't force loan. Per my finance background, if you force any loan obligations on anybody from day one, the loan has gone bad. Okay? So you don't force loan on people. You only announce. The willingness and the interest of the person will come out to go and access. We didn't announce. NBSSI is a national institution. And this one was announced on TV, radio, online. Everybody heard that applications have been opened. People must go and apply. So you can't sit back and say, because I don't belong to any producers association, I didn't hear. That one is not the council who announced, though. National institution like NBSSI announced it. If you didn't hear it, blame your own self, because everybody in this country heard of it. It was announced in Parliament. Where were you? Yeah, so don't blame anybody. You must, even if you didn't belong to any association, you could have also contacted the NBSSI and access, because it's a loan. Nobody will come and force the loan down your throat. We can't come and take the loan and come and say, because you shoot good movies, so come and take a loan. No. Tomorrow, if you go to court, you say that you were forced to take that loan when you were not ready.
Right. So now, if I'm listening or understanding what you're saying, if anybody wants the loan, they should join the associations and access the loan through the association.
To be honest, henceforth,
right.
the bill provides that if you do not belong to any domain in this country, it will be very difficult for in the future to benefit from some of these stimulus packages that may come.
Okay.
Reason is that our net is wide. We want to be able to monitor everybody so we can be able to have a proper data, and then we can say that we are equitably sharing resources and also contributing to the national cake. But if we don't have a data on you,
right?
If you are falling outside, how do we gather data? How do we know that you belong to this person or you belong to that?
Right.
You must belong to a domain so we can be able to cover you with that net so that when there's opportunity like this, you can also equally benefit. It's an appeal. I will appeal to anybody who is listening to us who thinks that a 5-pack president is not his friend, so you will not join 5-pack. Don't look at the president. Look at the business you are doing and play in that system.
Okay. Now, quickly, what's the interest rate? If I come for the loan?
I think it's 3% per annum.
3% per
which
annum.
is woefully low. I usually say it's non-existent. Like the interest is actually non-existent. That's what I tell my people. But it's supposed to be 2 years with 1 year moratorium. It means you have like a year to prepare to begin to repay the facility. And then after that, you pay it monthly for the next 2 years. Yeah.
Now, when you give out loans, you'd expect that producers will be able to make enough to pay the loans. Now, there is a situation where there are soap operas or foreign movies in here, or people have developed a certain taste for foreign products because mostly some of the TV stations put these things on. What exactly is the challenge? Could you take us through that?
The challenge for the facility being used for the right thing? Or?
Yes.
Well, in the application form, I mean, it also guided the type of product you are going to churn out. It must be something that could promote the country. It must be something that is authentic and Ghanaian. You know, it must be something that is sellable, something that you can turn around and make money and repay immediately. Well, so of course, we've had challenges even before the advent of this facility. I mean, we've always had challenge as to why people are not interested in coming out with made in Ghana products or made in Ghana goods that are marketable, that are exportable. You get it. So I think it's high time. The MBSI did well by whipping us in line in that regard.
Right.
But in the future also, as we begin to set up the proper creative agency, I'm sure that the agency will be able to regulate some of these things because it will be the mother regulatory body for all these kind of things. So I'm sure that in future, in the nearest future, we'll be able to whip our people in line so they can be able to churn out proper content made in Ghana that are very exportable.
Recently, Pascal Aka, the producer, he's also an actor, but he produces more and a director. He did write something on his Twitter, which he said that the industry is ridiculously bad. Yes, the industry is ridiculous. And this is something that you hear producers or actors or even some musicians.
Bad in what context? Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping that you can also tell us about, because then mostly I think it has to do with the structures. There are no proper structures. And so even for artists who want to properly come into the industry, do not know the necessary procedures to follow. So could you take us through that?
Okay.
Or what do you, before that, what do you think has even contributed to what we are facing, right? The challenge we are facing now.
Okay, look at our sector. We belong to the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. For so many years, we have a tourism policy. We've had the cultural policy. Have you ever seen a creative arts policy before? Ever since you came into this game, have you ever seen it before?
The creative arts policy.
So I will not blame him if he says that the industry is sick, there's no structure. Yeah, there will not be any structure because there was no direction. There's no policy. Anybody comes into this country, shoots and goes. Anybody comes into Ghana, does anything.
Are we not partly to be blamed for that?
But today, a bill has been passed into an act. So now there is a creative arts policy. And that we must all rally around it and ensure that it doesn't gather dust or put under some, wardrobe or cupboard. We must ensure it is operationalized. That is the engine of growth. That is the only instrument that can direct our future And the vision that we have in this industry and the passion that we come to work every day to ensure that our system is fixed. This is that engine of growth. That's the instrument we have to use. So if previously, if he says, yes, there were no structures, yes, true, there were no structures. But today, pick up the Creative Arts Bill. The next time you have the show, pick it up and check it, read it. It is one of the most well-structured instruments I've seen.
Yeah, but we can have the bill, but if we are not properly implementing it, that would be...
And that's exactly what I'm saying. So let's all rally. See, the voice on Twitter, channel that voice to government and let government operationalize it for us. Enough of the talking. This year, I'll be very sad to see creative people still talking and shouting and whatever you want, the government has given to you. So rally around it and fix your own system. The government cannot come and fix it for you. You have to fix it yourself.
Right.
The best they can do is to give you the laws and the right instruments for you to be able to regulate your own system.
Okay. Thank you, Frankie Fife, for talking to us this morning.
Thank you.
It has been very informative. So we've been talking to Frank Owusu. He's the head of operations at the Creative Arts Council, and we're talking about the state of the creative arts industry and also funding. Yeah, this has been the social segment on the morning update on TV XYZ. We'll be taking our newspaper review now.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many Accra.
Sure.
Check, auto checks. Check, auto checks. Check.
Emission, check.
Check, auto checks.
Alignment, check.
Auto checks. Check, auto checks.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the road readiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much.
Auto checks.
Auto checks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
Check, auto checks.
Kofi na sen haba matumi sayade bia enanka metina homa me yade yakumie
oh na den health alert clinic de yedin haba ma any organic product nko a na sayade
be ma ne oba a wo ho ayamodene monko health alert clinic
de say ye be ma wintimi mu adwuma yi menstrual disorder hypertension na say enam yade STDs wo wadwunsom yade bia ye betene te e de amount wo sanso ye massaging any physiotherapy omo wo diagnostic machines e de hwehwe ni pediem sanso na ultrascan
Health Alert Organic Shop on so honumwa organic product nkoa and omoto honum hwehwe ye kire kwan e wo Madina Post Office ye wo First Atlantic Bank no echi honumwa e wo Enkran
Freyen e wo 0242 518893 and 0242 518865 Health Alert Clinic go Heba.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yes.
It be old cargo. Can I join you guys?
Yeah.
Always drink fresh, natural mix, mineral water.
Still got it.
Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome back. And that was an interesting interview between Abena had with the representative from the creative arts industry. There's a lot that they have to address. This morning, I'm in here with Theophilus Tetechai. He's a former MP for Ablekuma Central. I understand he's currently the NDC Regional Secretary. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
How is it like working outside Parliament but still being an active politician?
Well, first of all, let me say good morning to our cherished viewers, and also to say good morning to all NDC faithfuls, especially at this particular point in time in the history of this country. I must say that it has not been easy, but I have had the joy to work for the party as a result of the fact that it was the party that made me what I am today. It was on the ticket of the NDC that I became a member of parliament and served Mother Ghana. So after I have served my 2 terms and decided not to run, and the party at that time was also in opposition, I thought, no, that was not the time for me to rest. But the experiences that I have as a member of parliament, as a party activist, I needed to help the party come out of that particular situation we find ourselves. And that motivated me to
vie for the position,
of regional secretary.
Okay.
And I believe that we've been able to do.
You are not missing Parliament?
Not at all. Not at all.
Are you sure?
Not at all.
There's money in there.
It is not about money. It is not about money. It is not about money.
Okay, we have a Parliament today which is almost even. And just yesterday, news came out that some nominees have not received the backing of the appointments committee. Names like Ojo Ponkroma, Mavis Hawa Kumsin, Dr. Afri Akoto. I've seen another list which is mentioning Eslowusu, Godfred, Yabua Dame, and so on and so forth. Is it coming to you as a surprise, or you anticipated that indeed some of them would have to go through this difficulty or possible rejection?
Thank you very much. For me, it is a welcoming news that our democracy has gotten to a stage whereby the legislature has the right to do what is right for the people of this country. Previously, because of the numbers in Parliament, especially government in power, had its way in terms of its nominees before the vetting committee. It is like you say all what you want to say, but we'll have our way. And as a result, we allow people who disrespected the citizenry to have that effrontery to rule over us. The same way, because of the numbers, it doesn't matter who is coming. At the end of the day, the person will go through. But the current state of Parliament has really enriched our multi-party democracy. This morning, I have monitored most of the radio stations, commentary from the good people of this country. And they've given thumbs up to the NDC members of Parliament. Because for them, most of the people that we are being told today are either being rejected or on hold. They have no doubt in their mind that those people had to suffer what they are suffering as of now. So it tells you that the NDC caucus in Parliament have done something that we all need to applaud. It is not an easy thing.
But some are also saying, and I've seen text messages to that effect, that they are surprised that names like Kandapa, who is going to the Ministry of for National, in charge of National Security, Dominic Nitiwul, who is going to Defense, have not been mentioned among those whose nomination is still pending approval because events that unfolded before the elections, during the elections, and after the elections, whereas of the time they were appearing before the committee, nothing suggested that they were interested in investigating what has happened. It's mind-boggling. That
I was really coming to that. That is the only disappointment that most people are expressing. Because prior to the 2020 elections, we've had so many abuse of human rights by our security services. If we look at the military, the police service, most of the human rights abuses have been within that period. And the general public expected that ministers who were in charge of interior and then defense and the national security will have to answer for some of those atrocities. Well, I will not be in the position to know what actually informed the decision to approve those ministers. But we need explanation. Our members or caucus, in terms of the appointment committee, they need to explain to us. You see, by explaining why our Kumsin and the rest have been rejected and the other 5 on hold, it's giving a clearer picture that it is not out of vindictiveness, no, but it is out of principle, actions that they themselves have committed, which will not inure to our benefit as a people.
Now, let me walk you through what I am reading as a reason.
Okay.
I'll say it is alleged because I've not heard it from the authentic source.
Okay.
But I have every reason to believe that what I am reading may have some element of truth. It says that the minority also decided to defer its decision on 5 other nominees for varied reasons. They include Health Minister Designate Kweku Agyeman-Manu, and they made reference to the COVID-19 testing issues related to the Kotoka International Airport. They made reference to Communications Minister Designate Eslo Usu Ekufo, and the reference was to the closure of radio stations. And then they go on to mention Godfred Dame, and they refer the reason to the Ejapa deal. And then they also go ahead to mention, I think, another minister who was referred to the PDSA deal, that is Amewu or somebody, who will also be, which will also be pending.
Yeah, if you look at the assigned reasons, that is why this morning, commentaries upon commentaries, people continuously applaud the work of the appointments committee, especially the reasons assigned to the rejection or upholding the nominations of these ministers. But what we need clarity on is the issues of security breaches that occurred. And for that one, I believe that as a party, we will demand that our members of parliament assign reasons. There are things that maybe we don't know. Maybe at the committee level or documents that parliament itself have been able to collect as a result of maybe investigations, maybe prove otherwise. Maybe these people were not linked directly to some of these atrocities. We want to know because we want to build a democratic society where the freedoms and the rights of our citizens will not be trampled upon.
I've spoken to a number of people on this vetting process, and there's a school of thought that the NDC is only playing mischief there. And so you have the party which is interested that at all costs, some of the nominees should be rejected. And that is not democracy. It is vengeance or trying to use that platform to score some political points. What's your opinion on that?
Well, it is baseless, it is unfounded. In fact, that is why I'm always trying to relate to what people people who call into radio stations are saying about the current situation of the appointment committee. Good reasons have been assigned, and all the reasons that have been assigned are not reasons that are not tangible. If you want to be a minister and you appear before a vetting committee and you show disrespect, if I want to be employed...
When you say you show disrespect, what exactly has triggered this comment?
You see, the way people speak when they have political power, as a country, we have to make people to be mindful of the fact that if you are made a minister or a deputy minister, it doesn't mean that those who made you the minister are stupid. No. It is because the 30 million of us can all not be made ministers. So you serve them with decorum, with respect, with humility. And these are attributes that when we are vetting ministers, we need to try and get those things out of it. Because look, the most painful thing that citizens go through is when they see their leaders talking to them as if they don't matter. The power does not belong to you. It is people's power that has been vested on you. So you show decorum, humility, and dedication to the work.
I see this comment targeted at what we witnessed when Eslawusu appeared before the committee.
That is correct.
You'd see from the engagement that
is correct.
The MP for North Tongue, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, was making reference to some memo or correspondence between her and some of the top management of telcos.
Yes.
And then there was also another issue about her utterances, which suggested that she was insulting the minority members, and she had to halfway apologize and so on, and as well as utterances. But some will say, why will this take us this far?
My brother, I've always referred to your institution. If there is a vacancy and you want to fill that vacancy, you want somebody who will be an ambassador of the company. Somebody who will project the image of the company in a very good light. And therefore, you will not go for people who disrespect clients. Is that not true? Why do you go in for such people? Because you want your institution to flourish. But you see, we practice our democracy in such a way that because we think sometimes we do things with impunity and then we go away with, people continue to do those things. Look at an example, the Minister for Education, the Minister for designated for Energy. Was it Energy?
Matthew
Marco Prempeh. Look at some of the things he said when we were during the elections.
But his name hasn't come up as those on the list of possible rejectees.
Well, let's get the entire report. Because maybe because of apology, sincere apology, you see, sometimes when you do wrong and you are bold to tell the public that you did wrong, we are all humans.
This morning, I'm doing a conversation with Theophilus Thetachayi. He's the former MP for Ablekuma Central and currently the Regional Secretary of the NDC. We started our conversation by looking at the vetting process, names that have come up, rumored that they are most likely to be rejected. I want us to also walk into the ongoing vaccination exercise. This morning, we shall be discussing the GJ and the fight against the Judicial Service. And then the NDC's National Executive Committee held an emergency press conference yesterday. Also look at that and other interesting topics. Theophilus, let's look at the vaccination exercise. This morning, I'm told the former president, I just received a text message that he's going to take his jab just around 10 o'clock this morning. Yesterday, it was a beautiful scene watching the president, his vice, their wives, and some prominent clergymen also going through the process. At this stage, would we say it's enough and we should just keep our fingers crossed and hope that as many will make themselves available?
Well, we are in a pandemic. This particular disease is new. A lot of research is being done. Fortunately for us, the Western countries have been able to find an antidote, which for us as African countries is a very good thing. Because if you look at the numbers that as a country we were coming out in terms of people being infected with the virus, I don't think it will be appropriate if a solution have not been found to it. And luckily for us, once there is a vaccine, we need to experiment. Since time immemorial, all diseases that have afflicted the world, people sacrifice. And at the end of the day, that saved the world. So these are vaccines that have been tried. The duration is what is problematic to all of us, because people are looking at in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years, what will be the effect of the drug. But people sacrifice in order for us today to get malaria drugs. Is that not it?
Yes.
So the same way we find ourselves as a people, it is in our era, and we need to save the world. And luckily for us, we have scientists who are on their feet working to ensure that the world is saved. So it is a welcoming news. We should all avail ourselves and then protect ourselves. It is very, very important.
You can also send us your views, 0556 999 999, 0556 999 999. Send us the messages via text. We shall read them. I want to move on to what the NDC has done since yesterday. The National Executive Committee issued a press statement. I'll be sharing excerpts of that statement with you. But basically, they touched on security. They looked at the pending Supreme Court ruling on the election petition case. They also touched on the fight between the Judicial Service and the Ghana Journalists Association. They also made reference to what they described as attempts by some security men to harass a lot of people, to suppress them from speaking their minds, and a number of issues. So on the screen, I will walk you through what the paragraphs are saying. Now, as you see on the screen, it says the meeting discussed, among other things, the ongoing vetting of ministerial nominees and urged the NDC Parliamentary Caucus to be firm and resolute in their duties on the appointments committee. It urged them to reject insincere apologies rendered by some of the nominees at the vetting committee sittings and hold them responsible for their actions or statements which violate the obligations imposed on the public office holders by the 1992 Constitution. Number 2 says, NEC meeting noted with concern the clandestine activities of some security agencies which have embarked on the arbitrary and malicious arrest and detention of citizens for exercising their right to free speech on social media. It urged Ghanaians to rise up against the creeping culture of silence and dictatorship by being imposed on them, on the nation. Then NEC noted with alarm the letter written on behalf of the Judicial Service, and it talks about that. Then the fourth one also makes reference to the sense of love for country will prevail, and that the Akufo-Addo government and other institutions of state will henceforth abort any plans to terrorize and criticize Ghana in order to suppress dissent and quell demands for probity and accountability as enshrined in the Constitution. And there you see it was signed by Johnson Asiedu Nketia, General Secretary of the NDC. Look, we know all these issues. Is the NDC not just complaining about virtually everything? Because the Judicial Service has issued a statement. Some say the reason is simple. People are deliberately inciting the public against them because they are not happy about maybe the election petition case and how things are panning out there. The issue about the state of insecurity. Look, when people misbehave, they must be picked and investigated. So the nation is at work, and NDC is virtually complaining.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me commend our national executives for the bold decision taken yesterday. We were all part of that meeting. The meeting was very timely in terms of its organization, especially 4 days to the final verdict. It was very important that as a party, we reassure our members. The NDC has proven to be a very strong opposition party. And in times of this nature, there is the need for the rank and file to keep the party united. So basically yesterday, that was what...
So you were at that meeting?
Yeah, I was at that meeting. Basically, that was what the party did, which we need to commend them highly. In fact, Greater Accra region, we had already taken the step orienting our MPs and our constituency executive committee members to ensure that that unity prevails. So yesterday's meeting was also a feather in the cap of the party. That is what we need to do. Secondly, we are a nation governed by rules and regulations. We all believe that the essence of going to court was to ensure fairness, was to ensure that our constitution was upheld. And that is the reason why the party went to court. Now, as a country, we have the freedom of speech. And nobody within this country is above the law. And whatever we say should be within the confines of the law. But you see, we've gotten to a stage where the media is being silenced in a very, very clandestine manner. And the letter that was written to the media houses was a typical example. Let me tell you something. On the, when the results were being churned out during the election, not the declaration.
All right.
We realized that most of the radio stations, they didn't do their own independent collation of results. They were manipulated to take results from certain angles. And all these things came about because of some communication that people in authority had with those networks. And at the end of the day, we all saw the confusion that came up. It has never happened.
I.e., media houses announcing different results and later retracting.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, constantly, that is what government is doing.
And if they are compromising them to steal an election, as you allege, does it constitute suppression of the media?
It is.
Because I would see it as an owner of a business who has a certain political parochial interest or may have been influenced through bribery to do what the actors may have sought for.
Call it the way you want to call it. But the most important thing is that we need to uphold our democracy. And as a people, we should be free to express our views. Our judiciary, they are not above the law. Parliament is not above the law. The judiciary is not above the law. We are in a country where officials within the government, when they say things that are treasonable, are left off the hook. Nobody cares about them. Is that okay? But when other people also make some comments that they find it distasteful, they apply the laws.
Who applies?
It is the government that applies the laws through its institutions. And most of our institutions are being bastardized. Most of the institutions are being taken over as if it is a political party's institution that has been set up. And you see, what even hurts the citizenry is the fact that people that we look up to stand in when challenges come up, one way or the other, have deserted the people. And they only come in when they see danger. When they see danger, and then they begin to what?
When you say they come in when they see danger, can you break it down a little for me to understand, or those who are watching us to appreciate?
You see, let me give an example. A TV station owner decides to sit on its network, okay? And then rain, insults, abusive language, defamation, incriminatory remarks on a flag bearer without any how do you call it, substantiation. The police never act. Although what the person has said has a lot of incriminatory evidence that can be used against the person. Nobody talks about it. Okay? And then you see a fly. Somebody who does not willpower, maybe on social media, makes a comment which the government finds it distasteful. And then immediately, that ordinary person is arrested and sent before court and fined 10,000 Ghana cedis. Is that the justice system that we want to live in? Is that the democratic culture?
Now, let me draw your attention to what is related, and let's see if it will make any impact. You realize, and I want to quote from your own statement, i.e. the NDC National Executive Committee statement, and one paragraph, in fact the last paragraph, says, finally, as Ghanaians await the verdict of the Supreme Court on the election petition, National Executive Committee urges all NDC members and supporters to remain calm. To remain calm and resolute. It is the prayer of NEC that the Supreme Court will uphold and promote probity, accountability, and transparency, and give effect to the will of the people expressed on 7th December 2020 and its judgment on that matter. The party, and this is where the emphasis is, the party will on its part stop at nothing to rid the Jean Mensa-led Electoral Commission of its partisan biases and prejudices and ensure transparency and fairness in national elections. I don't know what it means, because only yesterday the National Peace Council issued a statement and said, John Mahama, Nana Akufo-Addo, your assigns, your party leaders, be circumspect in what you say after March 4, so that we keep the peace of this country. If I look at this, I see threat embedded here, and I am anticipating what is likely to happen after March 4.
Not at all. I was also part of that meeting. Maybe your understanding of the context or the text.
Stop at nothing.
Yes. You see, as a party, we have so many ways of holding this government and its cronies accountable. And we need to thank the good people of this country for the number of parliamentarians that they've given us as a party. In fact, if not the things that happened, we could have been forming the majority in parliament by now. But that is where we find ourselves as a people. We have so many tools now to hold government accountable. Those who think they are not accountable to the people, well, let's wait for the decision. When the decision is delivered, and lo and behold, those people are not supposed to account to us. There are other institutions that can hold them accountable. And Parliament is one. So it was one way of reassuring our members that, look, the system may fight you, but God has a reason for giving us that numbers in Parliament. Today, we are holding ministers accountable, isn't it? in the last parliament, this wouldn't have been news because the plenary would just clear all of them. But today, it is news. And by this time, I believe members whose names have been mentioned have gone on their knees praying to God to forgive them for their sins that they've committed. And that is the sort of democracy as a people we need to practice. So for us as a political party, yes, no matter what happens, that is why we are reassuring our members that no matter what happens, we are not going on the streets because we went to the court for the court to give us justice. And it is the justice that the good people of this country wants to see on the 4th. So let's see what our judges are going to give us. But as to whether their actions cannot be criticized, I think that one, they went too far. They went too far.
We will discuss that.
We pay them with our taxes. We pay them with our taxes. They take us gratia. I believe you know.
But you are also not to incite the public against them.
You are not inciting the public. Their judgment. When a court gives a final verdict, the citizenry, don't they have the right to critique the decision? They don't have the right. Is that what we are telling Ghanaians today? That if our courts churn out a decision or a verdict, the good people of the country, they don't have the right to critique that decision? Then there's no democracy. Then there's no democracy. Then likewise, let's allow the government to do whatever it wants to do. And that is what the good people of this country will never allow. And for me, I'm happy, especially with your association,
Ghana Journalists
Association. The way they spoke yesterday, it was right on point.
At this stage, and because it is part of the conversation, I want us to listen to Afel Moni. He's the president of the Ghana Journalists Association. Excerpts of the press conference they held yesterday.
Unsurprisingly, our telephones have been flooded with calls, both local and international, from journalists, media watch organizations, defenders of press freedom and free expression, seeking to know what exactly has been happening since that contentious statement by the Judicial Service was issued. It is universally acknowledged that media right is not absolute, but qualified. And legal experts teach us that such qualification must chime with the dictates of the law, due process, and must be exercised in such ways as to achieve legitimate aims and objectives. The GJA is plainly of the view that the threats by the Judicial Service against the media defy logic and are tantamount to an unwarranted assault on all the tenets of the freedom of speech and freedom of the media as guaranteed by the 1992 Constitution. If not reversed immediately, the ill-advised, ill-timed, ill-crafted, ill-issued, ill-served, and ill-consumed statement by the judiciary can provoke a tsunamic backlash, lower the dignity of the court in the eyes of freedom lovers and critical citizens, pollute the media environment, undermine our impressive media rankings globally, and dim the beacon of.
So that was Afel Moni, the president of the Ghana Journalists Association. This morning I'm told that editors, former editors, senior reporters, etc., will be meeting at the press center to take their jabs for the vaccine. Now, you listen to Afel Moni. Some say his statement was not even stronger than they anticipated, because what the Judicial Service has done is just to test the waters to see another approach towards putting fear in us.
They've not actually tested the waters, but they've affirmed what they have done. I listened to the lawyer yesterday.
Thaddeus Sorry.
Yes.
I monitored him on one of our...
Exactly.
I think Joy News also.
And you realize that they are not apologetic to what the statement that they issued. It tells you the state of mind. But never again. It won't happen. We will continue to comment on the ills of this country. People suffered, people died for us to have the freedom that we have today. We've had 4 Republican constitutions, right?
Right.
3 have all failed. Okay? This is the only constitution that have stood the test of time. And this happened during the time of our late founder. We will not allow this constitution to be bastardized. We will not allow the freedoms and rights of our people to be taken away. As for the 4th Republican Constitution, all of us as a people, we should stand united and tell all those trying to oppress us that never again. We don't want people to do the things that happened in the 1st, the 2nd, and the 3rd Republican constitutions. We don't want that to happen anymore.
Soldiers,
and that is the reason why
taking over the country.
And that is the reason why you and I should resolve that never again our rights and freedoms will not be taken away.
Do you see a polarized country than it was yesterday?
The situation is becoming worse. And you see, as I said from the beginning, state institutions, people that we have given trust to step in when some of these things come up, are all quiet. The Ghana Bar Association, you have our Peace Council.
They recently issued a statement against Muntaka Mubarak.
You see?
So they are not quiet.
Protection of their own. That is all what they are interested in. And that should not be the way we govern a country. Our thinking, our deeds should be targeted at the entirety. All of us. What should be in the interest of the good people of this country and not our personal interest.
I want to read a few text messages at this stage. We'll be speaking to a senior lecturer shortly, and the conversation here at the moment is with Theophilus Tetechai, is the former MP for Blakema Central, and also I understand is the regional secretary of the NDC, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. Now, these text messages will go as for this one says, "Good morning, Eric. I'm so impressed with the contribution by Theophilus Chai. I think he's been as fair and sincere. I also like your line of questioning." This text message says, long one, it says, "The prophet as a watchman not only has the ability to see God as God sees, to see the approaching storms of God's judgment and the approaching enemy, is also the awesome responsibility of warning the people. At the age of 30, God," and it goes on and on. Ezekiel said, "I saw the vision," and it moves on and on. I don't know what it's up to. Maybe it's an advice disguised. This one says, "Hi, TVXYZ. Keep it up. Wizard TV, we thank you for your platform." This one is just a picture, so sorry for that. This one says, "Good morning, FO Eric. Please, our water problem at Somenya and its environment, please, they should do something about it for us. Say, thanks so much. From Japheth at Somenya." This one says, from Concert Score Zachariah, in Sunyani. It says, we can't think far. Why so? If you can lampoon the elected president and cannot criticize a nominated or appointed judge, it's a call for worried and neurotic for democracy. It's well ecstatic to reject 3 ministers designate for lying to the nation. Akoto say a bunch of plantain cost 3 cedis. Power Kumsin, gunshot. Kojo Ponkroma also lied to the nation about Ghana beyond aid, and those liars must be rejected. Regards to Nana H. LAB. I don't know what LAB means. This message says, good morning. The president should give us a break. If he and his administration do not trust the NUST pharmaceutical department for their vaccines, why is he forcing Ghanaians to trust his imported vaccines from enemies that have no good intentions for Africa? He and his family can go for the so-called vaccines, but for me and my family, we will not. And this one is from Africa. I am Pages Chamsaldani from Tamale sent this text message. This one says, good morning, Eric, and thanks for using your platform to educate us. Thanks to the MP. He's not an MP, he's a former member of parliament, for his contribution. I think he's speaking as a former member of parliament, and we respect him for his views. This one says, good Gosu Zongo, Ghanaians should stop saying negative things about this coronavirus vaccine because President Akufo-Addo will never accept bad things into this country. My regards to Ivan Sopoku Bobie, and goes on, and Patrick Bano, Sutifi North member of Parliament. Let me do 2 more, Theophilus. I know I've kept you waiting for a longer time. This one says, Kwamina Accidity I have for Achrin Swano. It says, I'm very impressed with the good work done by the minority group. Ghanaians have never experienced the handy appointment committee before, competent appointment committee under the speakership of Bagbin. This text message says, the reason for rejecting Kojo Ponkroma is pure and purely and comatose. I don't understand. But Abdul Salam Musa from New Fadama sent this message. Abukari Kahad, Abdul Kahad from Tamale. In fact, I am really impressed for what our MP has done to some of the nominees. And the last one is, sorry, this one is the text message that is circulating about, it's the statement that is circulating about the NDC NEC meeting. And so we have discussed that, and I cannot read that again. Theophilus, you've listened to some of the text messages. Many people seem to be following what the appointments committee is doing, but what we will do at this stage is to take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion on some of the exciting stories captured on the front pages of the newspapers.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
Welcome back. This is Morning Update on TV XYZ. Follow us on Wazer TV, on Facebook and YouTube. You can also follow TV XYZ on the same platforms. This is the Morning Update, and we'll be wrapping up at 9 o'clock. I'm here with Theophilus Tetechai, who is the former MP for Ablekuma Central, and now the regional secretary of the NDC. Now, let's look at other issues that are happening in this country. The National Lotteries Authority is in the news. And this is one of the agencies which give government a lot of revenue. And yesterday, staff went on strike demanding the dismissal or resignation of their managing director. And the concern is simple. Their members are being attacked across the country because people have won tickets and they have not been paid since April last year. This issue has come up before and it was denied. And yesterday, they were on the streets protesting. Has it come to you as surprise?
Thank you very much. The issues of national lotteries started not today. It's one of the government subordinated agencies that makes a lot of revenue.
Raise your voice a bit.
It's one of the government subordinated agencies that makes a lot of revenue. And so when you are placed there as a chief executive, your role is to ensure that, one, you run a transparent institution because of the security nature of that particular office. You have to be very transparent in dealing with your stakeholders. And I believe that what has happened yesterday clearly tells you that the issues of transparency is being lost within that institution. In the sense that the staff themselves are not clear as to what is happening. What is leading to the non-payment of wins? Why we've even extended lottery on platforms that even children under age are now into lottery. In fact, that is one aspect we need to look at. Because I believe that when it comes to lottery, it should be played by adults and not people who are under age.
We will look into that, but I am looking at a state institution which is a profit-making entity.
Yeah.
And over the years, they have paid dividends to government.
Exactly.
And you are looking at the same entity today, which is riddled with a lot of problems. Besides the allegations of non-payment of winning tickets, there's also the allegation of a lot of fraudsters in the system, to the extent that the NLA itself recently issued disclaimers. But this is one agency, one leg or one arm of government, which is supposed to be a basket for revenue generation.
Yeah.
And if all these things are happening to the extent that people have won tickets and they have not been paid since April, and staff of NLA are being beaten till they have to demonstrate that their managing director must be removed, and we don't have any official statement now, it begs for a lot of questions to be answered.
You see, for now, let's treat all what is happening as an allegation. We need to go into the matter. And I've always said that, thankfully for us as a people, we have a parliament today that can ensure that probity and accountability is assured. Let our members of parliament go into what is happening, because they have oversight. It's an institution that they have oversight. I think NLA is under, I've forgotten the institution that is, the committee that...
While you think about it, I'm told we are now going to the University of Cape Coast. So I'll come back to you to speak to this issue. He's a lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. I want to welcome him first. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Jonathan Otchere, it's a long time we heard of you. How is Cape Coast?
Well, the weather is quite dry. Early morning, the sun is already shining. And I just finished my first lecture for the day.
Wow.
And I think that on campus, our students are really maintaining the protocols of COVID-19. So I think that we are doing well.
It's good to hear. Senior lecturer, University of Cape Coast, Jonathan Otchere, Thanks again for joining us. But let's quickly take what we need from you before you enter your lecture room. We have 3 issues we want to discuss with you briefly. We have the vetting and names popping up as people who are most likely to be rejected or have their confirmation hanging. We also have the Judicial Service fighting the Ghana Journalists Association and related matters. Let's start with the vetting process. We spoke to you some time ago. You made wonderful remarks on what you think the committee must be doing to show a new face of Parliament looking at improving governance. And here we are today. We understand 3 people, Kojo Ponkroma, Mavis Hawakumsin, and then we also have Dr. Afri Akoto. Then we have names which are rumored, Eslo Usu, Godfred Yabua Dame, Peter Mewu and co, as people whose nomination and possible confirmation may also suffer some challenge. Is it a surprise to you, sir?
I say good morning to you and your people, and the wonderful job you are doing for Mother Ghana. Am I surprised? I am not. But what surprises me a little is that if we are going to raise the bar, as the committee is trying to do now, it is some other names. And what we're talking about here is those who are in the national security issues of military in terms of Mr. Nitiwu, issues of national security in terms of Kandapar, and then you can talk of interior in terms of Ambrose. These are the 2 main issues that I'm talking about.
How significant
2 main issues that I'm talking about.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. I'm listening.
Yeah. It has something to do with the people, the issue of teaching. Because it appears that people who died out of this recklessness, out of the military or the police, who are more or less engendered by the euphoria of the women, had to take a decision of that sort. And we have a government that is in power, and all what we heard from those who are the helm of affairs is that, they are doing some investigation. Whether it is a committee investigation or it is a standard investigation, nobody can tell. And you could see that all these people were hedging in their answers, and they were hiding behind issues of investigating the investigation and the investigation. And so, what surprises me, and the second issue about this same 3 people that I mentioned, is about the invasion of the military into the House of Parliament. And up to now, we seem not to know, as it were, what has happened to the corps commander, whose name was never mentioned. I tell you what, no commander in this country can, wholeheartedly and with his own volition, compel the military to enter the House of Parliament.
Now, sir,
this is unheard of in Ghana politics.
Good, Jonathan Otri, let me come in with a follow-up question, which perhaps will give you more space to explain further why you are taking this position. We have a new parliament. This new parliament is chaired by Alban Bagbin, who is not a member of the NPP. It is their house which was invaded. They have been sitting as MPs for more than 1 month. If the house itself is not interested in making public their call for investigations and ensuring that the perpetrators are brought to book, why would you hold a poor minister nominee to ransom because he wants a position again? I think the house itself can be described as not really interested, or perhaps, if I want to use a word that may not be too pleasant to them, serious about how the whole issue denigrated the house.
Well, the point is that, fortunately or unfortunately, these 3 candidates were retained in their old portfolios. So there is a continuity. So they cannot tell us that they don't have an idea or they cannot get to the bottom of it. Well, unless probably they gave assurances to the committee that come whatever or a certain period, they will get to the bottom of it. And that is the more reason why probably the committee will exculpate them from blame for now, or will exonerate them for now. Other than that, they should also have been added to the fight whose nominations have been deferred. So if you come to the actual nitty-gritty of the issues, those nominations have been stood down. We are talking of Mr. Okonkoma, we are talking of Howard Komsin and
Dr. Akoto-Afriyie.
You see, as for Dr. Akoto-Afriyie, I think that probably his relation with the president, as a good friend of the president from their youthful age up to now, is probably what has entered his head and was so arrogantly, throwing his weight about at the committee. Hello, it's a new time. He has to wake up from his slumber. Now, you do not have the numbers. You could see that when it came to Madame Asla, Owusu Ekufo, you could see we are talking about a woman who is so boisterous and forthright in her speeches and in her convictions. What happened? At the committee, she appeared a bit sober, though I did not like her posturing, as it were, trying to be dodgy and to be a bit saucy, one way or the other, and a bit snobbish. So if they are holding on to a nomination, I'm not surprised because I'm not aware. It's not something that we should approve of as a minister. And her inconsistency in terms of radio stations that have been closed down and others that have not, and for which they all have the same kind of sin, then I think that you are not on top of your brief. It does not matter whether you seem to be interested in the day-to-day affairs of the NCA or other state institutions, and it is neither here nor there. But there are certain things that it will come back right onto your desk, for which reason you must have answers to.
Okay.
So, Madam Howard Komsin, Mr. Anyanyo,
I'm sure all of us have followed the story about Howard Komsin. But there is one important question, and before we move on to the next topic because of your time, you'd realize that the Appointments Committee does not owe the public any explanation. When the committee was formed and they had 13 members each, I monitored conversations on social media, and NDC activists especially were saying that we want to see a parliament that will hold appointees, especially those who have been renominated, to account. Now, if they don't owe us any explanation, I'm talking about the general public, and in your submission, for example, you are thinking that there are some of the nominees who need more questions to answer before they may even be considered. Would it be fair for anybody to draw their own conclusions depending on how things pan out, or they must respect that the parliament as a house has its own rules of engagement?
Well, I think it is both. How things have panned out, obviously, you cannot tell me that members of the committee are not members of the Ghanaian society. Yeah, they listen, they hear, they listen to commentary, they listen to the complaints of people, you understand? Well, some of us are aware of how at the social media level, NDC activists were pushing the members of the committee to act in a certain direction. I think that members of the committee have exhibited that kind of fairness, because if that were not the case, they wouldn't have approved and disapproved others. For them to approve and disapprove others, it means that there's nothing political about it. It is all about ensuring that the goodwill of the people is maintained. And two, that Mother Ghana is not shorting. You see, Mother Ghana we are talking about the people who gave bandage to the president to rule. Now, those who are being nominated to become ministers, they are not voted for. You were voted for as MPs, not as ministers. So you need to acquit yourself, justifiably so, at the committee level. Yeah.
Okay, so Jonathan, before we go, we don't have much time with you. We respect that you must be in the lecture hall in the next few minutes. Let's wrap up on the Judicial Service, their letter, and GJ's reaction. You've monitored all. What is your position on this?
Well, I don't know what really engendered Daddy Sorry to write something of that sort. I mean, it is very dangerous and it's bizarre. The political consequences at this point in time, it's just like you're trying to let the Ghanaian populace preempt the kind of verdict the Supreme Court is about to give. 2, is it the case that when the verdict comes, you are expecting a particular section of the population to be quiet, or you are expecting a particular section of the populace to be up in arms against the verdict? I think that the call was a very bad call. If people did not speak against that, it would have been very much shocking. And it is geared towards more or less Muslim, freedom of speech. I mean, if for nothing at all, I thought of this particular issue, Eric. Could you believe that the judiciary can convict people, but they need the police to get these people behind bars? So you are not all in all. You are an institution dependent upon another institution for your function to be performed perfectly and accurately.
Yeah.
So they can convict people on contempt. If the police have no place to put them, then they will be free. Yes, you may have convicted them in your law court. So nobody is above the law. Nobody is above criticism, genuine and constructive criticism. I think that it was a very bad call, and it ought not to have come from such a personality as that is sorry.
Jonathan Otchere, we have taken much of your time. We are always very grateful for making yourself available to speak to us at short notice. The fact is, a lot of people also enjoy your contribution to make our breakfast richer. Thank you for your time this morning. Okay, so he's a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. You listen to him, Theophilus. Before you come in, I have this letter from the International Press Institute. Obviously, in reaction to what the Judicial Service handled yesterday and GJ's reaction. It says the International Press Institute, a global network of editors, media executives, and leading journalists for press freedom, today expressed grave concern after Ghana's Judicial Services body demanded that media organizations take down any adverse comments made against the Supreme Court judges amid an election case brought in by the country's former president. It goes on and on and on and condemns in general terms what has happened. Now, it looks like Ghana, which recently scored lower marks on they call it the press freedom or whatever index that they put together, is now having bad press again, and it will obviously not speak well of us in the international community after Ahmed Swale's killing and journalists being arrested here and there for predicting what will happen if the president goes to speak about COVID-19 or maybe passing comments that may be perceived as threatening. This obviously is not going to give us good image on the international scene.
Well, consistently, the MPP administration has proven not to follow the dictates of freedom of speech. Since His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo came into office, we've seen the chronology of events that have taken place, especially against the media. But you see, the media itself is not protecting itself against some of these excesses. We don't lay much emphasis on the abuse that the government is unleashing on the media. And there's a reason for it. Media houses are being owned by people, excuse me to say, who are perceived to have political leanings. And so therefore, they find it very difficult to attack or criticize their own. That is the challenge. But you see, wait until your freedom is curtailed and you realize that as a human being, you no more exist. Wait till your freedom is curtailed and you realize how worthless you are as a people. We don't have to get to that stage.
Can this system be fought? Because today, and I'm drawing this question from the comment you just passed, that the media itself appears divided, and so they are not fighting the battle the way it should be.
Yeah.
Now, in your submission earlier, you also adduced to the fact that some institutions are virtually quiet or cowed to be quiet. Now, can we fight this canker collectively as a people when you have all these institutions quiet until they are bitten before they wake up? And so it may eventually be reduced to the so-called NDC-MPP fight in this case.
You see, when we talk of governance, to make a country become governable is the active participation of the citizenry. Look, if the citizens rise up and say no to this policy, there's no way government can withstand the might of the citizens.
Are we getting there?
We can only get there through a lot of public education. And that is why you see, when issues that affect the entire community comes up, people who are in the position to make their voices heard, that will have impact on the society, needs to come out. You see, you have a lot of media houses. These media houses are being handled by producers, show hosts, and so on and so forth. This issue came up from the judiciary. We can flood the entire airwaves with that particular issue and let the authorities know that no, we are not going to accept this. In fact, we will defy this order. The Supreme Court sittings, wasn't the media that showed what transpired? Without the media, would we have heard the things that occurred? No. So the media has a role to play. So if you are being told today, delete videos, commentaries, and things that emanated from the court, you didn't manufacture the stories. Did you manufacture the stories?
But perhaps you are using your platform to facilitate something that is unpleasant to an institution, and for which reason, don't forget, that same platform can even be added to any contempt case.
Let me ask you one thing. Those things that are being churned out by the media, are they not the things that took place during the sittings?
In my opinion, any commentary, whether harsh or soft, is a reflection about a reflection of what the actors or those who made those comments saw from proceedings.
Exactly. And when courts makes decisions, the decisions that they make or the verdicts that they give, are those verdicts not criticized? Is that the new law? I'm only asking. That today's Ghana, when our judiciary makes a verdict, the verdict cannot be criticized. In fact, in the court proceedings,
so obviously
the cases that were being used, why were those cases being used? Because of the decisions that have been taken, right? And that is what people were using to advance their case. And those decisions, when they were made, people criticized those decisions. And that made our judges to what? Reform and make more verdicts that will be able to stand the test of time.
I was at the table last night having a debate with some colleagues, and there were different schools of thought. One that came from a friend, I think Dela Tenge, was that the Supreme Court's action is raising a lot of suspicion. And the reason is that if the court itself is not taking people on for previous actions, and then in anticipation of a ruling, this statement comes out, it only fuels more suspicion. But somebody's counter opinion was that, look, proactive steps need to be taken because of what Ghanaians witnessed in 1981 when the judges had to be pulled out from their homes and killed, which was reflected in the statement the Judicial Service put out. So there's precedent, and we don't need to incite people to have so much hatred for the Supreme Court. That's basically it.
Let me ask you a question. Why was the Supreme Court issues telecast?
The live telecast?
Yeah. Why was it telecast?
It is supposed to water down or maybe bridge that space that will be exploited for misinformation.
For transparency's sake, right? So that whatever is taking place, an ordinary person will also follow. Is that not it? And that alone is the healing process. Look.
But that has nothing to do with insightful comments.
Exactly. And who is inciting who? Is there a communique that the verdict, people are going to incite people? No. It is not up to the judiciary. When people make comments that are criminal in nature, we have the institutions who are in charge. Is that not it? If after the ruling, I go and then make a treasonable comment, it is up to the police service to take action in the court. And then the same people are the ones who will give what? Judgment. Okay. So what are they afraid of? What are they afraid of?
Do you think they have something to hide? Or this question is tricky?
Well, what has come out, that is what people are discussing.
Well, we will leave it here.
Do we have something to hide? No.
It's a question that will be there for you to answer.
Let's give the good people of this country the free will to express themselves.
Which you have now until it is stopped. Theophilus Tetechai is a former MP for Ablekuma Central. He's also the regional secretary of the NDC. We also spoke to Jonathan Asante, who is also a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. The conversation has been quite interesting. We'll still have more of your text messages. When we come back, Abena will join us to share them. Theophilus, one word to those watching you before you go.
Well,
more than 30 seconds.
For our party members, it's very important. The unity of our party is supreme. The NDC has shown that it is one of the most formidable party ever formed in this country, although it was formed within a very short time. And it is up to us to keep that unity of purpose.
Okay.
What we need to do is to go back, reorganize ourselves, and make the party what it should be.
That was Theophilus Tetechai. I'll be taking a break. Abena will join us shortly to read your messages.
Ifa kura na menyisika. Edia ye mefui.
Ehin fa pa na menya bosia edia tre medjuma yimu.
Kai kura mabre miye busia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yema mwakwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hyehyɛ ahodo bi te sɛ gadifo abosia, ekokro bosia, susu account, eni da so wo ho savings account, me bada chain savings account, ene de akeka ho. Suhum Rural Bank was 034229186. Na won so wetumi aka sɛ
Suhum Rural Bank ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome back. This is Morning Update. We are gradually wrapping up, and your messages are ready. Abena is sitting by me. Abena.
Yes, I am right here.
What are they saying?
They are saying a lot, actually. So this one says, good morning, Mr. Eric. President Nana Addo is doing everything possible to suppress Ghanaians by using the military, the Peace Council, and the judiciary. But Ghana is bigger than all of them because Nana Addo cannot be president forever. He didn't add his name. But this one also says that their reasons for rejecting Honorable Kojo Oppong Nkrumah is and will always be comatose. This is coming from Abdul Salam from Fadama. Also, it says here that I woke up. It says, good morning, TVXYZ. You are doing a great job. I woke up this morning to the good news of the rejection of the 3 nominees. The minority MPs are doing a great job for Mother Ghana. This is coming from Xavier Daniels. Now, also from Abedi. Thank you for constantly contributing to the show. He says, kudos to President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for taking his first vaccination against COVID-19 publicly to clear all doubts and urge everyone to also accept the vaccine. He has shown leadership by example. This is also coming all the way from Mankranso. His name is Tom Lai. He says, I want to thank the appointment committees for rejecting the unqualified people from becoming ministers. They should do a proper and final scrutiny of the 5 pending and finally reject them too. He says they are liars, thieves, gun shooters, arrogant and incompetent people and should not be allowed into leadership. I can see you scrolling through your phone. You're just tapping your feet.
They are chasing me to wrap up, but producers, just give me some 30 seconds. It says majority group have really shown what they are working in the interest of Ghana. Any nominee who has corruption tag, lied, under oath, arrogant posture, and incompetent to handle ministerial position must be rejected. And this one came from Musa Abattoir in Kumasi. This text message says, don't miss this government COVID-19 support grant. It takes a few seconds to apply. Don't miss, hurry now. And then it comes with no name. 2 more, my producers, I beg you. This one says, in fact, this NPP government is a disgrace. Didn't they claim they have the men, including the best economists Ghana has ever had? How come they have brought Ghana on its knees by making it one of the poorest countries in the world? Asanko Santa Maria sent this one. Last one from DJ Omale YOC says Nana Addo and NPP will never accept homosexualism in Ghana. And Mahama brought Andrew Solomon, a gay activist, to Ghana, and goes on and on and on. Unfortunately, we don't have much time. This is what we have for you. This morning, we believe that the breakfast was
well served.
Well served.
Yes.
Tomorrow, what kind of breakfast will you serve?
I think I would let that be a surprise. But I'm sure it would have some chibum on the side. Thank you for staying with us.
I am promising you a breakfast with a lot of pepper. A lot of pepper.
That can never be good.
A lot of pepper early morning.
Thank you for watching. Thank you so much.